Are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll begin.
Welcome to another episode of the AFTN Soccer Show, broadcasting from the University of beautiful British Columbia on the unceded Musqueam territory. If you're listening to this show on the podcast, this is episode 223. I'm Michael McCall.
I'm Steve Pander.
And I'm Zachary Adam Eisenheimer.
And yeah, just to reiterate, this has been a crap weekend. If you're a Whitecaps fan, crap. If you're a Scotland fan, crap. If you're a Canadian fan, crap.
Kendall Waston fan?
Yeah, not bad. We'll give him that. Wanting to see America lose and not in the World Cup fan, crap.
Yeah, it was. There were some disappointing results. I was really feeling for you after the. Was it 1-0 win on Thursday?
1-0.
1-0
with I think 88th or 89th minute goal. You may have heard me screaming in Langley, officially out now of going to Russia. Trying to be cathartic, I am wearing a Slovenia top.
Yeah, we'll tweet it out.
It's very, very old. I got it years ago after being at a soiree with the Slovenian ambassador in Edinburgh. Don't hate Slovenia. A little bit today. But that's all I'm going to mention about Scotland until we get to Wavelength, where I've got a very personal song in Wavelength. Self-indulgent, you may say. Are they all not?
I thought this was supposed to be the last in the football violence series.
No, I scrapped the football violence song for tonight.
So you're not going to condone it tonight? You're going to join us in condemning it?
No, I might trash the studio in my anger of rethinking that game and then what we're about to talk about next.
Well, that happens when you usually dance, but yeah.
True. So let's move on from the bad news of Scotland to the bad news of the Whitecaps. And whatever that was in New Jersey.
Yeah. What was that?
It was something.
It started as a 3-5-2?
Started off as a 3-5-2 and a little bit of a surprise, but we'll hear from Robbo later on in this first part where he said that they've tried that before and it's been successful, and I'm thinking, sort of what? When? Can you think of any times we've experimented to a flat back three and it's gone well?
I think he might be referring, I'm just guessing, but this is my first thought. He might be referring to the first leg of the Voyageurs Cup against Montreal.
So, yep, 3-5-2, and we knew there was going to be some changes to the starting lineup. Kendall was away, Jordy was away, Stefan Marinovic, who'd obviously started the week before, was away, but may or may not have been starting anyway. We'll kind of come to that whole goalkeeping thing when we look ahead to next weekend's match. But the personnel that was there, for me, was not the right personnel to be playing a 3-5-2.
It's hard to disagree with that.
Yeah, especially when you saw how they turned out.
I don't understand it either. Like this, I think they would have been fine with the same formation they've had.
Well, Robo said after they only had one day to work in it, so I think the way that training had gone on Tuesday, it looked like it was going to be a 4-2-3-1, and then he must have thought, New York goes three at the back. I think we can counter that by going like for like, and then they only had one day to work in it, which for me is kind of crazy. At the same time, though, if you're going to experiment, having clinched your playoff place, I guess, is a good time, maybe. But if you're playing a 3-5-2, for me, Jordan Harvey, who I like, I know he gets a lot of folk ragging on him, I think he brings a lot to the team, but not in a 3-5-2. And if you're going to play him in a 3-5-2, you don't play him as part of the 5. That made no sense to me whatsoever. Surely you'd play him as the 3 and have De Jong on that left wing. I just don't think the personnel that was there was the right ones. And let's just kind of look a little bit how the game played out. I don't want to go into the game in too much detail because I almost fell asleep during the first half. It was tough to watch. I didn't get to watch it live. I rushed home from commentating at UBC for that. That was well worth rushing home for. I was hopeful. I did think we would take something from it.
Of course, we've never lost at Dead Bull Arena. We've always taken points from there. I forgot you were doing the game, so I texted you because I was going to ask you something, and I was like, he might be doing one of his things, and then you're like, I'm not watching. Well, ticket's not going well, and I was like, well, you just watch when you get home.
So let's quickly look at the first half. Chance for New York initially. Lawrence was unmarked at the top of the box from a corner. Harvey blocked it. I don't know if he got a shout from Ousted or not because he seemed very angry after blocking it. Or I don't know if it was just the space that Lawrence had at the top of the box.
No, it's hard to tell. I think he was. I think it was a good block.
Yeah,
definitely. But I think Ousted had it anyways. But you have to do what you have to do at that point. You're worried about it deflecting off him and going in the net, but it didn't go. Then
came the first goal, which I think what we can take from that goal. I mean, we've talked about them not having possession in recent weeks. What I think we can take from that first New York goal was the Caps just shouldn't attack. If you attack, you just leave yourself open to the counter-attack. Vancouver were Vancouvered. Royer came in, 1-0. Could Ousted have done better? Did he go down a little bit too early? I think he did.
A little bit of that, a little bit of Jake getting second back as fast as he should have.
I think that's what I might have actually been texting you about. Because Jake... He didn't follow his man. He didn't follow his man. Didn't stay goal side on his man. His man cut in front and finished off on his.
It's also possible that he was a little confused because, like you said, there's not much training with that formation.
Yeah.
Did he not used to playing a wing back and should have they play that?
Was he expecting Aaron to pick up his man? Yeah, potentially there's potential for that. But when you watch it, it looks like he just pauses or hesitates and lets Royer go by him.
So 1-0 at half-time. Robbo switches it up. Went with a change of formation, which the commentators on the TV weren't sure about. Watching at home, I wasn't sure about.
I think it was 4-2-3-1.
Yeah, was it 4-2-3-1? It was almost a 4-3-3. Was it a 4-4-1-1? Did anyone know? Did it really matter? Because we didn't have the ball that much to see how they were going back and forth with it.
Well, we didn't have the ball that much, but I think the possession on the night was like 43 or something.
It was better than it has been, which I think is another thing.
Which might be the reason why, yeah.
Don't attack, don't hold the ball. That's how we get our wins.
Yeah.
That's
which you're saying we had the ball too much.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
3 minutes in, Ousted, a great save from Adams. He was outstanding. Got to say that for a young lad. He looks very, very impressive. We'll come to our own lad later in this segment as well, our own young guy. Where was Harvey for that one as well? Or the DMs? He just seemed to be allowed so much room, which seemed to be the story of the night. Then it went to 2-0 just before the hour mark. Another goal that should never have happened. It was shocking for me by Aaron Mond, who I just think had a horrific display out there. You've brought in an experienced guy, got rid of Christian Dean, and folk are like, I was one of them. It's like, sad to see Christian go, but we're bringing in this guy that's highly thought of by the RSL fans. He's got experience in the league. He's done well. First game with Kendall, he was okay, nothing spectacular, but looked solid. Last night, though, or yesterday afternoon, not good at all.
And it could be, again, the fact that he's playing the three-man back.
Yeah.
And maybe not used to it. And he never played with Parker before that. And never played with De Jong like that
That was
before.
the thing as well. Like, never having played with Parker, they didn't have a great chemistry. They didn't have a great understanding.
No.
And you have to give Bradley Wright Phillips a tip of the hat as well. It was a lovely little chipped finish. 2-0, nothing Ousted could do with that one.
And then the third goal, you got Kleshin getting his initial cross blocked, and then he is able to just, poke it out to the box, and then Felipe just...
Did it take it? It took a deflection,
yeah.
right? Was that off?
Definitely
off Mond.
Off Mond,
was
I was
it
going to
Mond?
say, yeah.
I wasn't sure who
So I'm
was
going to blame
on.
Mond again for that. He kind of just stuck his foot out instead of really throwing his body in the line.
It really took it into the side netting.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, yeah.
And Ousted, closing minutes, came up with a couple more saves, which kept it at 3. The subs that were introduced did add a little bit of a spark. So there was that. But by that point, anything, I think, would have had a bit of a spark for the Whitecaps. It was just such a flat performance. Before we go any more into that, let's just hear what the coaches had to say. So we're going to hear first from Jesse Marsch. Then, of course, we'll hear from Robbo. So let's hear now from the Gaffers.
Who are the Warriors?
September was difficult for us and disappointing. You know, we were all disappointed with the results, but we continued to feel that we were playing well. And it was just a matter of time before we were going to start to have it add up more. In terms of getting the result now, it's good in terms of releasing some anxiety about making the playoffs. But the key for us will be to continue to have urgency and hunger to improve and play in meaningful matches. Because once playoffs come, now it's do or die time. So that'll be key for us in the next few weeks.
Jesse, what is the feeling inside the locker room now? Because finally you not just beat Vancouver, but you beat them handedly 3-0 tonight after all the past matches you had against them. I mean, what's the feeling like?
In general, I think take Vancouver out, but I think we've been dominating many performance games, and we've been controlling many games, but we've been walking away what feels like empty-handed. Some of them were ties, but walking away feeling like how do we not get 3 points on the day? So the key for me has been to continue to urge this group on and to have belief that even though the 3 points haven't been coming, that we're there and we're close, and it's just about a few little details. So that's what was very important about tonight, is that we had a great start, we dominated a game for 90 minutes, we control almost every aspect of the game, and then we get a big win. So now it's key for us to continue in that rhythm so that when the most meaningful matches come, we are really prepared and really ready.
You mentioned about details. This was a game where you didn't have one mistake. It was 18-3 in shots. Nobody getting on goal. Nobody bad pass back. I mean, what was the focus this weekend or the last week and a half or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I've been challenging our defenders. Okay, I've been challenging them to perform at a higher level because we've made too many mistakes, and it's key to have a supportive environment, but it's key to also be realists, and we have had too many guys make too many mistakes back there that have cost us too much. And we felt like if we could shore that up, if we could find the right balance of personnel and performance in the back, that the rest will take care of itself because there's a lot of good things happening. So, got 3 good performances from the guys at center back, and then I thought Tyler again was phenomenal. And Connor had another good performance as well. So that's going to be key. It's going to be key for us to the shoring up the defense is going to be about how good our defenders are on the day and how many plays they can make.
Yeah, we were slightly off it from the first whistle. We were a yard behind. We weren't our usual self. We didn't have energy. And credit to New York, they started very brightly. It was they took it as a playoff game. Obviously, the first goal was always crucial. They managed to get it, and then we were chasing the game a little bit. So overall, a bad night. But there were some positives out of it.
You tried a different formation to start. What did you take away from it?
Yeah, we've done it at certain times this year and it's worked, and today we thought it would give us the best opportunity, and we got caught in between. We only had one day to work at it, obviously after Kansas City last week, so it's my responsibility, that as the coach, when you put a team out or a formation out, and we changed it at half time. We looked a lot more better, but if you give bad goals away, you give opportunities and you're not sharp and fresh, which we weren't against a good team, you're always going to pay, and today we paid.
Made some changes around the 54th, just their immediate impact to the game kind of changed it a little bit there?
They did. All subs that come on were bright. Nico is banged up in there, he brought energy to the game, and he was disappointed he didn't start the game in hindsight, and it's a wonderful thing. Then maybe I should have, but the subs who made an impact, who played made an impact when they come on, and that's what you want substitutes to do. So even at 3-0 we didn't go under, which was really important, but it was a bad day at the office.
With the continued progression for Ali Ghazal, it seemed to be one of his better matches today.
Yeah, he did the jobs very well. I think in football the fundamentals are very key, and today I don't think we've done the fundamentals very well or good enough. Ali did. Ali was breaking up plays and playing simple and doing that. And when you're behind by 1 or 2 goals, which we were, then the pitch seems bigger and it seems longer. And they're a good passing team. So credit to them today. Obviously we're disappointed in there, but we'll get back to work next week.
The team has been in this place almost a week and some ago. Just are you looking for a similar bounce back performance after the Seattle 2KC?
Listen, we've lost one game of football. If you would have said between Kansas City and New York we were going to win one game and lose, you probably would have snapped your hand off because it's difficult to play away from home. So we have to take that on the chin. It wasn't our day today. We know we need to be better individually and collectively, but we'll get 4 or 5 players back after the international break, which will be key as well. We didn't talk about those players missing in the start because I've got confidence in my squad. Today it didn't quite work.
He's the gaffer. You can't try it on with him. He's the gaffer. Even when he's on a limb. He's the gaffer. When his back's against the wall, has the answer to it all. He's the gaffer.
Both the gaffers there. You can take a few issues with some of the things that Robbo said there. We've talked about some already. One of the things he said, though, was there's a few positives to take from the game. Can anyone give me any?
No, okay.
That we didn't lose by more than 3 goals?
No, this, I think, goes back to when we spoke to him a few weeks ago. He's staying positive, and then he's going to take the criticism. It deflects from some poor performances and an overall team performance that I think most people would say was poor.
Yeah.
Which you would say after any 3-0.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's look at some of those performances. Aaron Mond, we touched upon there, not having a great outing in defence. Alphonso Davies as well. Second straight start and no impact whatsoever, which I put out on Twitter last night, and a lot of people replied saying, how can he have an impact when he was basically left isolated, as was Montero? They were getting no help at all from the midfield.
Yeah, he was central, right? He was kind of supposed to be like the 10.
That's it, because Alfonso as a 10 I think could have worked. And it's something that I know, speaking to Robbo, kind of just chatting at training a couple of times, it's something that he would like to look at. He thinks Alfonso can play that position, but he didn't look very good in that game at all.
No. Well, it was a disappointing performance, and he wasn't alone. But again, it was a different position that they
were trying to throw it into.
Yeah, Robbo said they haven't even trained it much. So what do you obviously we would have loved for him to kind of maybe break out of this bit of a poor form that he's been in. But is it shocking that he didn't have an amazing game? I don't think you can be too shocked by it.
And I know it's been a while, but I still think he's he might be carrying something, like a niggle or something like that he's just still working through.
He was banged up. Remember, he looked like the Invisible Man with all the bandages and tape he had on him at some point during the summer. So
it might be just small little things, and he's just working through it. That he's probably not in perfect top form yet.
Christian Teixeira came back from Uruguay and then travelled to join the team, didn't meet up with them until Thursday night, and then didn't even dress, which I thought was a bit of a weird one. Noza Ijibor, we were told that we would probably get a chance to see him off the bench, named to the bench, but not brought on. And that one I do find strange, because that was your chance to bring him on. The game had gone, you had a sub left.
Yeah.
Bring the guy on, let's just get his feet wet in the league and see what he can do.
Well, no, it was very surprising, and like you said, there was nothing really to lose at that point. You might as well put him on and then see what he can do.
Tony Chani, another guy that didn't have a great game.
Not a good game for him at all. He looked very, very poor. You hope the one thing I think you hope from this is that it doesn't lead. It's just like it's a one-off. It doesn't lead into kind of the beginning of a stretch of poor form for certain players. Like some people are obviously saying about Alfonso. He's been in a poor run of form since the Gold Cup or shortly thereafter or whatever. You hope that a game like this doesn't lead to that for certain other players.
It's easy to find a marker for players, for teams, for performances. For example, the Whitecaps, after they got that thrashing 4-0 in Chicago, went on a good run, and then they kind of finished that run with this horrible performance against Seattle, then this horrible performance against New York. Taking the Seattle one out of it, because I know exactly what Zach would say if we gave him the option. What defeat felt worse, that 4-0 by Chicago or that 3-0 by New York?
I think the 3-0, because of the fact that Chicago was on such a run at that time, that it was like, whatever, they were just flying at that time. Here in New York was kind of struggling to pick up wins, and you go in there and you kind of let them off the hook, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. That was a game that you felt you could win. Robo said, as you heard there afterwards, if you'd told him he would get 3 points from either KC or New York, he'd have been delighted with that. If you'd told everyone, yeah, you're going to finish those 2 games with 3 points, you're going to assume it's going to have been from New York. So that did feel like a disappointing loss. I know they were fighting to clinch their playoff spot, etc., but yeah, that should have been a much better performance. Ali Ghazal got the official man of the match. Anyone feel anyone else deserved it?
I thought, just because of the fact that I don't think he was really in for too much of blame for the goals. I think David Ousted, especially the few saves, he kind of made it somewhat respectable. He didn't make it into a laughingstock game, so I think he deserves a little bit of credit. I don't know man of the match, but I think he stood out a little bit. It's hard to give a man of the match to anybody in that game.
Yeah.
As Colin Miller once told me, individual awards have no place in football. And when you lose, why do you need a man of the match?
No, I think they should have just given.
Good point.
They just should have given that cup, given it away in the next game to the fans.
Yeah.
I think this is the second time they've had this now. But Tim Parker's family all
and
going
Jake Nerwinski's as well.
Jake's
there was
family, going
I think
out
300 or so altogether combined.
Yeah, the massive group of them, and
well, there might be some Red Bull fans among them.
Yeah.
No.
Well. So, a horrible performance. But anyway, we'll be back with some more upbeat news after this.
Celso la devuelve. Brian con Rodney Wallace. En el Rodney. De nuevo para Brian. La hizo bien. El capitán engancha. El capitán va. El capitán aparece. Brian en el centro. Brian en el centro. Cabezazo. El mundial. El mundial. El mundial. El mundial. El mundial. El mundial. Así lo grita el país. Así lo grita el país. Así lo grita el país. ¡Allá vamos Rusia!
That just sends shivers down your spine. Kendall Waston, El Capitano. His wonderful goal. Brilliant call there from the Costa Rican commentators, going absolutely crazy. The song as well, if you wanted to check that out, it's by a Costa Rican band, Nino Coy.
I was looking for bands, and this was actually a rock band that actually doesn't have vocals. They just play acoustic.
Like
music. Yeah, so it's a really good band. I love the music.
It was incredible. I mean, it's been a depressing weekend, right? You talk about this was the shining light of the weekend.
Yes. That's one of my 2 favourite goal calls of the weekend. The other one, which I tweeted out today, was the Egyptian one.
Oh, yeah.
The guy was in tears. It just meant so much to them. No, that one as well. But the commentator was like sobbing as well. It was just absolutely incredible. But Kendall's goal just shows you what a talent he is and just what it meant to him. I loved his little dance.
The celebration, unbelievable.
And just the faces of the fans. Even if they'd lost the match, they're still going to Russia. But you want to clinch it at home. You want to make sure at home. And to do it in the 95th, 96th minute, wow.
Steve and I were talking about this before you got here. It's like he'll forever be a part of Costa Rican footballing history.
Yes. He'll be the guy that secured their
2018 birth.
Yeah,
it's so happy for him.
Yeah.
It's so proud of him.
I love the guy. He's just, on the pitch, he's such a beast. off the pitch, he's
Gentle
the complete
giant.
opposite.
Yeah.
He's just such a great guy to speak to. His wife Priscilla's lovely.
Yeah.
Just a whole lovely family.
K-Sac, yeah, they're awesome.
So couldn't be happier for him. Well done to Costa Rica. Look forward to seeing the big man in Russia next year. Whether he'll be a Whitecap before, after, we don't know. I think he will be before. After it, who knows? If he has a really good World Cup, someone's going to come in for him.
I'm still surprised to this day that a player like that who shows, you know, his size, his ability to clear the ball out of the box, his ability to, because we've seen him sometimes running up the pitch.
Yeah.
Like sometimes he'll just burn it up, and he's got fleet foot for a center back. That why hasn't he got a look from Europe already? It's surprising to me.
And because he hasn't left here doesn't mean there hasn't been interest.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He does love it here.
Yeah.
And he could probably easily go and play in the Championship in England, for example. Whether he would want to do that, I think he would, but is he good enough to play in the Premiership? His age kind of maybe goes a little bit against him, and he's an international and all that kind of stuff. I think he can. He's cleared up his disciplinary matters, which was a big, big thing that I think was holding him back. And he's had a great year. We talked about it a few shows back. For me, he's the Whitecaps Player of the Year.
Yeah, I think the age thing is one thing that is difficult. Is he 29 now?
29, 30. I think he'll be 30 after the World Cup.
Okay, yeah. So that's obviously, if you're going to go to a place like Europe, then you don't have, as a center back, you
But
don't
they just
have
sold Jelly Van Dam, the big jelly man. He's 33.
Yeah, but, well.
Yeah. But that goal clinched Costa Rica's spot in Russia. Mexico, they're there as well. The rest of the CONCACAF standings, it does look like the States are going to do it. It looks like they'll finish third, barring a calamity in Trinidad and Tobago, which could happen.
Let's go TNT.
Could still happen that they lose in Trinidad and Tobago. Mexico don't care in Honduras. Panama win as well. And then America finish fifth.
No, they can't come fifth, can they still?
They can.
Oh, they can.
They can.
Oh, yeah, because all the stars have to align. Right?
Yeah, or stripes.
Yeah, Honduras and Panama have 10 points apiece and the US have 12.
Right.
So Honduras' goal difference is so poor that they're basically out. The other good thing, if you watch the video of Kendall's goal, is you see the frustration and the anger from the Honduras players.
Number 5,
a guy that's absolutely thumping the dugout.
You watch one of them, you can see our good friend Romo Kyoto. He's not too happy.
That would have been heartbreaking for them.
Yeah.
But meh. I've had my heartbreak today, so screw them.
Yeah, I don't think there's too many Canadians who have any love lost for
I don't
Honduras.
think so at all. And in the last show as well, we talked a lot about the World Cup qualifying. We talked about the CONMEBOL standings. Jordi Reyna, we said, at least he's not going to Peru. And then 2 days later, he's off to Peru.
He's out there on
Didn't play, though.
Yeah, he's at La Bombonera putting up like live Instagram stuff and just hanging out in the stadium.
That on Tuesday is going to be absolutely immense.
Yeah.
You've got all these teams going for the spots, and the weird thing is, like, right now Brazil have qualified. 6 more teams are in with a shot of qualifying either automatically or in the playoff against New Zealand. Only 2 of those 6 teams are playing each other as well. Peru and Colombia, that's the one that's playing each other. So there's a good chance one of those 2 teams could not make it. There's a good chance Chile might not make it.
Yeah. Well, Colombia just slipped up at home against Paraguay with
late
collapse
goals.
at the death as well. Yeah, it was the CONMEBOL. It was an interesting weekend in CONMEBOL qualifying.
It certainly was. And right now Uruguay's second on 28. They're guaranteed, if nothing else, in the playoff spot. Chile third, 26. Colombia fourth, 26th. Peru fifth, 25, holding on to that playoff spot. I watched the Peru-Argentina game, and it wasn't a classic game, but Argentina pummeled the Peruvian box and just did not get the breaks.
It's shocking how poor Argentina has been in this round of qualifying. So few, they have less than a goal a game, if I'm correct. I think they played 17 games, have like 16 goals.
I did have a song tonight for Argentina not qualifying, but I'm going to use that in next week's Wavelength.
Oh, yeah.
I still think that might be the case.
Yeah, save that.
So, lot of fun coming up on Tuesday. Looking forward to watching those games play out. That's taken up a lot of the headlines this week, but there's been a lot more football headlines as well, which brings us now to BC Soccer Web headlines.
Read all about it. Read all about it. This is the world. This is the world.
A couple of headlines that were just to browse over. FIFA U17 World Cup, how FIFA plans to catch age frauds. So they're going hard after. This all kind of stems back when there was a kid from Nigeria who looked like he was 41 or 40, but he was actually he was actually under 17 when they did the test. So since then they just do it on everybody. Seems like now. Yeah. Next article: Lazio, part of the Stadio Olimpico, to be closed for 2 games after some racist chanting.
Yeah, I don't honestly, and I don't mean to sound. I don't know why that's news. Like that. That's
something that happens all the time.
Exactly.
I only put that in because the section's called the curva.
Oh,
all ends of the Italian stadiums are referred to as the curvas.
I know.
I know what Italian fans are like,
and I wanted you to educate people on that.
Well, we'll talk to Marco Carducci about his beloved Lazio and their support.
Barcelona president confirms La Liga exit a possibility over Catalan independence. That was interesting.
Come on, the Catalans.
It's like, where are they going to... The video and the pictures are crazy this past week, and you wonder, where they could go. They were mentioning the Premier League because Wales has come over from there. So it'd be weird to see Barcelona in there.
There's all Rangers and Celtic have been linked with going to the Premier League for years as well, which most folk in Scotland that's not Old Firm fans just want them to get the hell out of Scotland, so they'd be quite happy with that.
Next article, startup soccer company Socceroof aims to grow a beautiful game in New York City. It's basically a building mini field on the rooftops.
Which I love, but getting your ball back if you overhit it could be a bit of a problem.
They have fences. It's similar to how they have...
So a massive problem for you.
Yeah.
They have the tennis courts. They will have roofs and chain link fences and everything. Keep the balls in.
I can still get it over that.
You cage in. You put a roof. Yeah.
Don't let Robert Earnshaw take any free kicks.
A couple of MLS stories. MLS appoints Diego Morituri, general manager of MLS Canada. Kind of advertising, promotion, kind of help out the Canadian teams with that, I guess.
Basically, they've launched a marketing office.
Yeah, because they realize they haven't done enough, and they realize other people are about to take advantage of it.
And CPL.
And they also see that Toronto's walking away, and they want to cash in on that. Walking away with Supporters Shield. Not walking away as in they're going to leave MLS. Although, we'll just throw that out now. If Toronto want to leave and go to the CPL, very happy for them. Congratulations.
They could definitely dominate that one. Nashville unveils stadium funding proposal as MLS expansion bid becomes a favorite. Now, I think this was a little bit overshooting as them becoming a favorite.
I forget the name of the guy that was tweeting out, "Oh, big news, breaking news, everyone. Nashville's going to get announced as the next MLS expansion."
Steve Reuter?
Possibly, yeah. Let that be a lesson to everyone. Breaking news... when it's not news, makes you look idiotic. Wait until you get confirmation. You don't always have to be first. You have to be accurate.
Wasn't he going on internal, or sources?
I think he misunderstood.
Oh. Okay.
There's no way Nashville should get in ahead of the likes of Sacramento.
MLS. This is MLS, man.
Cincinnati.
This is MLS.
I know it's all TV markets, and it's like, oh, we've got nothing in this area and all that kind of crap.
And the hip, young demographic in Nashville. Yeah.
It would be ridiculous for them to get in above these proper football communities.
I think eventually there are going to be, I know Don Garber has said 24 teams. I think it's going to go to 30, 32 easily.
Well, Nashville's starting in the USL next year. Mm-hmm. The other thing that's kind of interesting about this is if they do get an MLS team, this is again off the backs of kind of what has happened in Chattanooga. And
choo-choo.
And all that they've done there, right? And so, yeah, it's people looking to cash in on where they think they can make some money, which is understandable because, in one sense, because that's one side of things. But it's definitely not the whole thing.
Next article, we got FC Dallas may have used ineligible player against Orlando City. This was interesting.
Yeah,
and this was very interesting.
Has there been any update at all?
There has.
Okay,
they've been fined.
Oh, that's it?
Yes.
Yeah,
that's off.
Yes.
So this is one of two situations this year because there was another situation earlier this year with the Impact. I can't remember what it was. It wasn't as heinous as this, but it was something where a player shouldn't have played or been in a roster or whatever. It's kind of disappointing in one sense, but it's understandable in another. There's no way they were going to take points away and change the playoffs.
No, but the hilarious thing is the fine as well It's not even monetary. It's invisible money.
Oh, it's GAM
They've
money?
been fined GAM.
Oh.
It's like, you're joking. You're fining them money that isn't real.
Wow. I mean, it does affect them, but
Yeah.
you're right. Yeah, it's...
Dallas, though, did issue a statement saying they sought clarification from the referees as to whether they could use him as a substitute.
Yes, I heard
so
that.
it isn't Dallas's fault in a way. And
maybe that's the reason they didn't do anything anymore.
I would say I do feel for Dallas in that regard. They did get given the wrong information, but everyone should know that, club and officials.
Oh, you know what? All they need to do is put in a couple extra shifts. They'll get that GAM right back.
You're saying pro referees are incompetent in certain areas?
Yes.
Okay.
I not even going to say pro referees. Referees.
Pro is the name of their union.
The guy that I just saw at the SFU game last night, when you've got both teams screaming at you. Also, if anyone was listening to the feed of the SFU game, my apologies for the foul-mouth tirade I launched at the referee at one point in the second half. But if they're going to put a camera beside me when I'm standing on the bleachers, it's going to happen.
I heard Montana
mobbed him. They should have had a penalty in the 5 seconds to go. And he just waved it on, and they went crazy. They were getting pulled back off him, and yeah. NCAA is exciting stuff. But referees are incompetent all over.
A couple articles from the lower leagues. USL president ensures compliance as league submits D2 application to US Soccer. Basically, they're saying that they're not going to need as many exceptions as they had last year. And that might talk about what you revealed last week, that some of these USL teams might not be in USL.
Well, Vancouver's gone.
Yep.
And TFC's...
Hello, Fresno.
And TFC's moving to BMO / Lamport or whatever.
And it's quite right. We talked about it last week. It's ridiculous. If that is the set criteria, then they need to meet it. But it's also ridiculous getting clubs that's maybe not drawing more than 1,000 having to have 5,000 capacity stadiums as well, which then begs the question, should these clubs be in USL D2 or should they move to USL D3 when it launches in 2019?
Yeah. Next article, and PDSL sends a letter of complaint to US Soccer.
Yes.
They're basically saying that their teams are getting poached by PDL.
Yeah. Because they're both development leagues in a way. NPSL maybe don't think of themselves as such as a development league, and they have they've both got a wide ranging number of teams.
See, we were looking at this earlier tonight. Is it 12?
Oh, no,
12 matches or 12 matches?
No, some conferences play 6. There was one that was played loaded at 6 games. There were some up to 14.
Oh, okay.
It's very weird.
Because PDL's 14. PDL says you have to have at
14,
least 14.
Yeah.
No, it's very weird. I think everybody plays within their conferences, essentially.
So basically, NPSL feels like their clubs are being tapped up by USL.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of clubs that have moved as well. I think Kitsap Pumas went to the NPSL.
Yeah.
And there's a Oregon club, I think, possibly in NPSL as well.
I can't remember.
But cause I was looking to see for sort of grind hopping on different vacations and stuff. But yeah, it happens. It's like, is it poaching? Or is it just that...
recruiting?
Yeah. Do they think, this is a better league? It's a higher profile league.
Well, yeah.
I love the PDL.
Maybe this is the relegation and demotion that everybody talks about. You just pick and choose which teams are going to go up.
Depending on which other headlines you've got to cover, might talk about that. With some comments that Paul Byrne made.
No, I don't have anything of that.
Okay.
So you'll be able to talk about that.
So good.
Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay planning joint bid for 2030 World Cup. So a third country, added to that.
I was surprised that Paraguay got added to that, but Uruguay should get it. It's 100 years since 1931. I talked before about a great book I've got on that, and I'd love to go. I've wanted to go to Montevideo since I read that book. So hosting the World Cup here in 2026 would be great. Then 4 years later going to South America would be fantastic.
Yeah. I wish that they could host it by themselves. We talked about it a number of weeks ago, how that's probably not feasible. And so it makes sense for them to join with Argentina and now with Paraguay, I guess.
Get the Falklands involved. Just create a big thing there with England.
So
that was to do with the song as well that I was going to play later.
I knew it.
Last one, a couple articles about the Qatar 2022.
Sorry, just some bad Qatar.
Okay. One was a kind of a reiteration about the workers that are working there, about them being slaves, not really workers.
But no one seems to care about it. Everyone talks about it. No one does anything about it.
Yeah. And then, the only people they're saying that can do anything about it is FIFA, because the government there is not going to do anything about it.
No one cares enough to actually do anything to save these people's lives.
Now, there was also a risk report that was done recently as well that was brought up about the Qatar 2022 World Cup, advising maybe advertisers and sponsors that it's not going to happen there. It basically is saying that that it's a risky, because of political situations and everything like that, it might not be a good place to advertise. So it's interesting to see that if it doesn't happen for whatever reason, because a lot of people are saying that it might not happen. This is not the first time that people have mentioned that. Could that move Canada, U.S., and Mexico's bid to 2022, or do another country like Morocco, who was going to bid for 2026, do they move up to 2022?
I don't know. They're all quite close to each other.
They are kind of close to each other. So does that kind of okay, we're going to give Zach a little bit here.
That was just a callback to one of our extra podcasts. If you don't subscribe, you miss out on all this fun.
So that was hilarious. The article was really interesting. It's kind of there's some crazy stuff going on, obviously politically in the region, where basically all of Qatar's neighbors they've formed a blockade.
Yeah.
They've cut off Saudi Arabia's cut off their land border with them. Other nations have cut off their shipping. It's
bad.
It's interesting. So yeah, and part of the article said is some people there's a group of like 5 project managers or whatever running some of these major projects connected to the World Cup, who have basically said because of the blockade and all these different things, their costs are going up like 20 to 25% for some of this World Cup infrastructure. And so they're saying that the report is kind of valid, but and then of course the response from the Qataris is that no, these are just people who are on the sides of these other countries, and that's why they're saying this. They just want to ruin Qatar. But they're being accused of like supporting terrorists and like all this. It's a complex.
I mean, the whole thing, it just should not have been there, and they're in a mess. And there's been several times that I've thought they're going to take it away from them, and they just haven't. And then, like Steve mentioned, that was a risk report. If we want to talk about a risk that should be reported, did you see the Russian stadium?
Oh, yeah.
And the amendment that they did to put the extra seats in, which I thought was a spoof at first.
Yeah. No.
And it's like, the drop off the back from the top seats, whoa. That is just absolutely ridiculous.
I can't imagine someone showing up being like, yeah, I got a ticket, whatever.
Yeah.
And then,
hopefully it's England fans.
And then they get there and they're just like, yeah, I would not want to be in that stand.
No. That was bad. And one other thing we talked about there, not a headline as such yet on BC Soccer Web, but Paul Byrne had a meeting. I can't actually remember who it was with, but he was talking to a number of people about
the footy something or other.
Yeah, it was an update on the Canadian PL. And one of the things that he said was he, having experienced promotion and relegation, because he was over at Brighton, having experienced just how it is and lived in that environment, he wants that for the Canadian PL. So that is the goal, is to have Canadian PL promotion relegation.
I still think it is a long-term goal, though, right?
Yes. It's not going to be immediate.
Yeah.
Especially if you're starting just with a few teams. But there is 10 teams with interest. It does look like it's 2019 as the start date. That's what I was told this week.
That's good to hear.
So they're not trying to rush into anything.
Yeah, exactly. They need to take their time and get it right the first time.
Yeah.
So a lot of headlines there. Get that and a lot more on bcsoccerweb.com, your one-stop site for news, links, and a lot more locally, nationally, and internationally. I'm feeling a bit of a better mood now.
Got it a lot off your chest.
Yeah, got some stuff out my system there.
You took off your Slovenia kit.
I did. It's really tight. That is not a large, but anyway. We'll see.
I was disappointed you didn't sing the national anthem that was in the collar.
I'll do that if you want. That could be I'll do that.
Wavelength.
Yeah. Next week's Wavelength, me singing Slovenian national anthems in a Slovenian accent, which will maybe sound like the vampire ad. Maybe not. But something which always makes me happy when I'm down is eating. And I think you'll agree with that, Zach, looking at how much you've stuffed your face during this show so far. But Eating makes me happy.
Like Mrs. Curva, if she finds
not
out
not in the studio.
Oh yeah,
If Mrs. Curva finds out how much he's been eating, she might not be too happy.
I'm so tired. I had one little snack bar.
It's okay. I just thought you were getting ready for a Christmas show. You are playing Santa this year on the show, so got to bulk up for that. But yeah, I like to eat. You'll notice a lot of the segments we've done with the players recently have all been about food.
Is this the new one?
This is another new one.
You only do segments once you have like a song that you really love, right? That you told us that once before.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Which is the song which is going to be the outro for this segment. Okay. So it's all about takeaways, take-out food. And of course, we can't kick off a new segment unless it's with Jordan Harvey. Might have trouble with that next year. But for now, this is Take Me Out with Jordan Harvey.
Take me out!
So Jordan, you're at home at night. You can't be bothered cooking. What is your take-out food of choice?
That's a good question. And it's hands down, it's a place on Denman called La Katrina. It's like a little taco bar. And I've been pretty vocal throughout my years here that I love my Mexican food, and that place is unbelievable. I recommend the carnitas tacos there are so good. And it's easy takeout on like the Just Eat online, and they deliver it right to your door. It's so amazing. And so usually on like a Sunday when we have a next day off, we'll do the takeout thing, and that's what we go to.
Went to the shop, I went to the chip shop, went to the burger shop, did it all around stop. Hey, hey, I want a Johnny takeaway. Hey, hey, woo, woo, woo. Hey, hey, I want a Johnny takeaway. Hey, hey, woo, woo, woo.
The Addicts there with Chinese Takeaway. Yes, that was the song that I had to just do a whole section about.
There you go. So
even though he didn't want Chinese food, but still, it's okay.
Have you ever been to this place?
No, but I'm going to check it out.
Okay.
And I got a lot of tips from some of the other players that we've got for this section as well, so I'm going to check them all out. And
we should go there before one show or something.
We should.
Yeah.
It sounds a really nice place. And Jordan Harvey, being a California lad, he knows his Mexican food.
Carnitas.
So that should be good. So, let's get to some tweets now, and we'll get back onto some Whitecaps chat as well.
Tweet.
A lot of interesting discussing points over the weekend.
All positive, I'm sure.
Yes, of course. Why would they not be? Joe Deasy, AFTN writer.
He just got married, right?
He did,
a couple weeks ago. Congratulations, Joe.
Yeah.
Cheesy Deasy.
Yeah.
He wants to know why are the Whitecaps so inconsistent. So, let's spend a couple of hours looking at that. Shoe Thief as well wants us to explain exactly why. So, over to you, Zach. Why are the Whitecaps so inconsistent?
Well, I mean, obviously, this last match, I think we already discussed it. It had to do in part with the formation.
Did you say we discussed it or we're disgusted?
Yeah, probably both. But the other thing which we maybe didn't talk about earlier, which I know a lot of people were, is the fact that we didn't have Kendall Waston and we didn't have Jordi Reyna. And we didn't have Christian Bolaños or Stefan Mrnovic.
Yes.
So that is a reason. However, I don't think you can blame it solely on that. Like, you need to be able to have games where you can get by without them, like they did in Kansas City.
Yeah.
To be fair, for the most part, Kendall did play there. Yeah, Kendall did play.
But then there was a lot of squad rotation, so I mean, it's easy to put it down to that. But at the same time, you're looking at B players have come into a number of games and they've played really well.
Yeah.
And then they come into some other games and then they don't. So it's inconsistent all round. It is the nature of football to an extent. But it's hard to put your finger on exactly why we've been so up and down. It is almost like 2 weeks good, 1 week bad, or sometimes 2 weeks bad, 1 week good.
But that's the thing. We talked about this earlier this season, Michael. I remember talking specifically about you in the past, how you felt we were terrible because we'd go on these terrible runs.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this year there has not been a long run of poor form.
Let's hope we're not hitting that now.
It's essentially a roller coaster, a really quick roller coaster that dips and dives and goes up and quickly and comes back down.
The other important factor about the Dead Bull game that we didn't talk about was Eric Hurtado's new hairstyle.
I was trying not to talk about that. That was not a good look.
It was what kind of braid? Is that like a French
It's
braid? What was
cornrows, I thought it was almost.
Cornrows.
So you're saying consistency with hairstyle?
You're asking me about hair. I'm not really the ideal person to have that discussion. But like going back to what you're saying about Reyna and Waston were missing.
Yeah.
Now TFC get a lot thrown at them. You're a 2-man team. It's all Altidore and Giovinco.
Or a 3-man team, Brad.
I guess. I just don't like them.
He doesn't know hairstyle.
Don't trust anyone with no hair.
Yeah.
But is it fair to say the Whitecaps are a 2-person team? If you take Waston and Reyna out, does it fall down defensively and in attack?
Well,
obviously you've got Montero.
You can't really say that about Reyna because Reyna's only showed up in July, started playing. So he was away for half the year anyways, and they were winning at that point.
But that's also been some of their finest form, and he has 5 goals, and they're all match winners.
But I tweeted out yesterday, it is easy to pin yesterday's loss on Waston and Reyna being missing, but it was way deeper than that. It was formation, it was experimenting at the wrong time, it was players seemingly not knowing what they were meant to do, where they were meant to be. And
there was also, whether you can say that there was formation, but there was definitely a lack of effort. I don't know what lack of effort, but
they didn't feel a lot of oomph.
They were putting a little bit, there was something missing, an edge missing on them.
Which we don't often see at home. So going into the San Jose game, whatever the lineup is, whoever's starting, whoever's in the 18, you expect them to come out just flying because they've put a priority on home matches in some ways in the league, and I think it'll come out with a very, very strong lineup.
Yeah, and I guess that brings us nicely then to San Jose, and we'll also kind of look in this section as well, just like how the West is shaping up. As things stand just now, the loss in New York didn't hit the Whitecaps too bad.
Luckily.
Yep.
Because they confirmed a home cup match.
Yeah. KC dropped points in Minnesota. They're 3 points behind now with a game in hand. If they win that, we have more wins on the board. I think so. Everything should be fine. We're still top. We still just need 3 points to clinch a top 2 place. We may need 6. We may need 4 to clinch the number 1 seed. Not the end of the world to me if we don't. I would be quite happy being number 2, having that first leg at home and being away in the second leg. Just because of how we play, we can nip a goal away from home easier than trying to defend something, I think, at home that we've done on the road. The way that the rest of it is looking, we know there's the top 4, we know there's the teams after that. The teams that's battling to get in just now, San Jose's right in the mix. What are you expecting from this matchup on Sunday? Are you expecting a San Jose team that feel we've got to go and do this and go all out at the Whitecaps? Or are they going to be happy to kind of do the Whitecaps game of sitting back, letting us take the game to them, and then try and hit us on the counter?
Well, it's interesting because of, again, what we discussed earlier about the way the Vancouver's played most this year, right? And it looked like a little bit in this last game where they had possession and they didn't do well with it. So I wonder how much of that would come into play when San Jose is planning for this, saying let them have the ball because they don't do well with it.
Yeah, they don't know what to do with it, so it's fine.
And we'll be able to counter them. And or we need to counter their counter. So it'll be interesting to see how they choose to come and approach it. But San Jose, obviously has their own issues with needing to get points to make sure they're in the playoffs.
Yeah, right now they're sitting in 8th on 42 points. And the way that bottom bit is shaping up, in 5th spot you've got Houston Dynamo, played 31-43.
Yeah.
Dallas played 32-43. Now those two teams had been out of it, and now they've got themselves back in it, having looked comfortable for most of the year. Then you've got 42 Salt Lake, 42 San Jose, both of them with 2 games left. Houston, you feel it's in their own hands.
But they are playing Sporting in midweek.
Yeah, which could be good for us as well, because if Houston do something there.
Yeah, Houston does have the extra game.
But the thing is also RSL and San Jose have the advantage of having more wins at this point. So they do have that tiebreaker as well. So if
and San Jose's got their last game at home as well.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see there. The team I'm most interested in seeing is what Dallas does, considering how well they were playing all year. And can they pull this up? In Houston, in a way. Houston and Dallas were top for a lot of part of the first half of the season.
Yeah.
And then they dropped.
The fall's been incredible.
It'd be interesting to see what happens, because if they can get through that knockout stage somehow, they'll be a dangerous team because you have to travel down to Dallas at that point and then see what you can do there.
More importantly, do you think LA Galaxy can get 2 wins so they can pass a point per game this season?
I hope not. I think they will. I think they've started to find a little bit of form as some of the players are like, oh, we like it here in LA. We kind of better pull our finger out or we're not going to be in LA next year. Who do you think's going to get those 2 spots then?
I'm going to still say Houston and RSL.
I think Houston will somehow manage. And it's hard not to pick Dallas. But
I'm going to go with Steve. I'd
rather RSL.
I think it's partly because I'd like RSL to get in. But
because you can drive there.
Long drive. Well, you can drive to all these places, technically.
Well, sorry. You can drive there in
I don't know what the roads are like in Texas anymore, but in theory, you can drive to all these places.
You can drive to Salt Lake in 15 hours or whatever, and San Jose is more like 20 or whatever. But
yeah, I've always had to stop off.
Yeah.
But I make 2-3 day trips down there. It's nice.
Well, you should try and get Slamo to go.
Yeah, no. I've seen how his wife drives. I dread to think how he drives.
Very quickly.
Yeah. So very quickly, moving on. If we look at this Sporting and the Caps, it's 1 and 2. Then it's Portland and Seattle. Could be 3-4. We don't know how that's going to go. I don't know. I think Seattle might sneak third with Portland fourth, which would then set up. Well, I mean, it's all speculation just now, but if we look at this RSL or Dallas, they could be playing Seattle, and then if we finish second, we would have Seattle in the first round of the playoff.
And that's going to ruin your wedding anniversary.
It will.
Because I think they have a pigskin game on
the
Sunday.
So that would be on Halloween.
Yeah.
But nothing can ruin a wedding anniversary, Zach. when I'm the husband, Mr. Romantic, there's flowers, there's chocolates, there's me in a thong. That is all a lady needs. That is also going to be on our poster that we will be bringing out later as well.
Oh, someone did a swim preview.
Yes.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, Ryan.
I saw you guys like that.
Yeah. The fact that you added your megaphone to it was a lovely touch.
Yeah. It showed a real...
My body's looking better than it's been for years, I have to say. If I did have that body, I think I could have got in that Slovenian top a little bit better as well. Who would you like the Whitecaps to play? I'm going to make a big assumption that we finish in the top 2. Who would you like them to be that first round semi-final opponent?
It's hard to say. Actually, I would hope it would be either whoever finishes 5 or 6.
Mm-hmm. I'd like RSL, actually. That would be nice.
A lot of people say, oh, it would be awesome if we could face Seattle or Portland. No. I want them out of the first round.
Yeah.
Why do I want to see them?
I don't want to face the Founders because I don't want to be going to Seattle on Halloween.
Well, we've had enough horrific moments in Seattle already this year without adding to that.
So, to be honest, I would love if it was Portland on that Sunday and like a 7:00 kickoff. I know that's
a late kickoff.
Yeah, I know it's a late kickoff, but
we'll miss the show unless we do a remote one from down there.
Well, we can just go up in the.
Yeah, we'll go in Mixler.
We'll go up on the gantry up there. And
yeah, that'd be fantastic. I'd like RSL or Houston. I'd be happy with that. I think we can win in Houston.
I think we can take both those teams, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit cooler at that time of year, if it gets cooler in Houston. But yeah, but still there's a long way to go. We have to get there. San Jose is the team that's in the way just now. Looking a little bit then at lineups, we'll start with the big goalkeeping question. Stefan Marinovic is going to be back, although he's going to have had a lot of travel going to Japan and back. Do you put him back in, or do you stay with Ousted?
I have no problem with Ousted. I don't think he was a problem in the last game at all.
Yeah, I think David will start, but it's interesting to have this bit of a quagmire around that position for the local football team. I know in the ice hockey, supposedly
ice hockey
tradition. It's a tradition.
Ever since I've moved here, it seems to be a goalkeeping controversy.
Right.
I think if Marinovic hadn't been away with New Zealand, he may have earned the start against New York.
Which for his sake is probably good.
Yeah, well, maybe he would have played better. He could have saved all those shots.
Well, yeah, except for...
yeah, it's maybe asking a lot of him with the defence that was in front of him.
Yeah.
I think it'll be Ousted all the way. I really don't see them dropping him. But if he does make a mistake against San Jose, it leaves one game for Marinovic to come in Portland, and if he plays well there, then the spot's going to be his. So the pressure's on Ousted. I think he is a player that responds well to pressure. Kendall's going to be coming back off a high. So you have to think the back four is set now with Nerwinski, Parker, Waston, and Harvey, or do you go with De Jong? Because there is a question mark with that as well.
I would go with De Jong.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I might be with you in that.
What are you, Steve?
I would
Marcel
go
or Jordan.
In this game. I would go Marcel.
I've been impressed. I didn't think much of Marcel de Jong before he came to the Whitecaps.
I can attest to that.
Yeah.
Even when he was playing for the Whitecaps.
Yeah. His early spell here, I didn't. The signing didn't make sense to me because I didn't think he was that good a player. He went away to the Gold Cup, took his chance there, and showed what he could do. Robbo gave him his chance here when he came back, and he seized it. And he has been one of the most impressive players in the second half of the season.
Whether it's playing center mid,
that
center
versatility
back,
is fantastic
wide left,
for him.
Fullback, yeah.
Like that's the thing for young players and young Canadian guys that's wanting to make it in the game. If you can be versatile, you've got a hell of a better shot of getting on a team's roster.
One of the things I like about him for the San Jose game is, even though, and I've said this many times on the show in the past, I do not fancy him primarily as a left back, but more as a wide left attacking player.
Yeah, like in a 3-5-2.
No. In the 4-2-3-1 wide left, I think he'd be fine. But I think for this game, I think having two attacking fullbacks will be very, very helpful to helping locking San Jose's defense. So I would start Marcel.
Defensive midfield pairing set, Chani and Gazal, despite Chani's recent form.
Yeah, I think you with the three in front of them being Jordy obviously in the middle.
Yeah, well, Jordy and Montero up top.
Yeah.
Those wing positions, Teixeira's going to come back in. If he didn't play on Saturday, he has to come back in. It's that other position. Like, whether you slot Teixeira in right or left, it's then who takes that other position.
So you got Bola, Shea, Abini, Alfonso.
Yeah. I think we can rule Alfonso out, just the way that he played. Abini showed some nice glimpses when he came on, but I think the best we're going to see from him is off the bench. So you're down to Bola or you're down to Shea. And Bola's going to have been tired. Well, of course, he could be suspended as well because Robbo was going to appeal it, but we haven't heard whether that appeal worked or not.
Right, yes.
So if he is suspended, then you're kind of left with Breck Shea then.
Yeah, I heard a number of people appreciated his substitute performance against Dead Bull. So maybe he did enough to earn a spot.
Yeah, I'll go with Shea. I'd be happy to go with Shea. If you can't count your DP for a game that's going to clinch you.
I keep on forgetting he's...
I don't.
No, I think Breck in the little I saw, he was the only one that really provided anything. I think if you watch the highlights, he was the only one that actually provided any kind of highlight going forward for them because the ball he sent into the box, it just got missed. So I think he would be a good option at this point. You gotta kind of see what he can give you at this point.
Anything else you'd change from those midfielders or?
No, I keep it about the same. And I wouldn't mind seeing Nosa come off the bench in this one, see what he can do.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully the game has been put to bed and we're kind of able to do that.
I disagreed with what you said earlier that he should have come on against Dead Bull. I would not want to have seen Nosa in that game.
No?
No, the game was shambolic. Why put him into a shambolic situation? I know you would say, oh, so you can't make it any worse, but
yeah,
it doesn't. I don't think it helps him.
Looking at San Jose, it's not the San Jose of old. The Goonie spirit's not there anymore. No. Which, love it or hate it, the way that they fought to an end in matches was fantastic, really. And it's like all you can really want from a team. Wando's leading the scoring, 12 goals. Then after that, it's like you've got Danny Hosen's on 4, Marco Urena's on 4, Vaco, who I've never even heard of, is on 4. So there's not a lot of goals there. Wondolowski also leads in assists with 6. Basically, kick Wondolowski is the message for this one.
And like with a lot of teams, he has been a nightmare for Vancouver.
Yes.
Historically.
Yeah. So what's your predictions then going into this one?
I'll go 3-1 Vancouver.
I'm going to go 3-0 Vancouver.
I guess I'll
give it 4. Give it 4.
No, I'll say 3-2 to Vancouver.
And the thing is, I was checking. I don't know if you guys mentioned that when we were doing the MLS thing. That's the table, because Houston is playing Sporting. If Houston is able to get the win there, Vancouver's be playing to clinch first place.
Yeah,
because of the wins. They're way ahead in wins in that case.
So that would be fantastic. A couple of tweets just to wrap this section up. Greg Petrie at Erdem World says, which is worse, watching Scotland come up short every 2 years or watching the Whitecaps struggle when it matters every year?
Struggle. They're second. They're for top place in the West.
That's,
it's hard to
that's
say
that.
Thanks for the question, Greg. That's a good one.
I'm going to go with Scotland, although I've kind of got used to that.
Steve, you go with the Whitecaps on that one, or?
I think you will. Chris Harrop at Chris Harrop GK. He wants to know what lies in the future for Nicholas Mosqueda. Do you see him back next year? He isn't a low ticket.
No, you know what? If Nosa is the guy that I think it's between him and Nosa for that spot, the backup 10 spot.
I think you could see him left unprotected and potentially taken in the expansion draft.
I cannot see him being taken.
There's gonna be a lot of players
on a low ticket.
No, but
I could see him being taken and then traded for something.
There's a lot of players that are going to be available this year. Like, they're not going to be able to. There's going to be a lot of exposed players for Vancouver that are.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a gutting of the Caps roster. I could easily see 12 to 16 players that's on that list just now not being here next year.
So more than the usual 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I see 10 to 12. I have 10 to 12 myself.
The bigger thing about this, not the bigger thing, but connected to this is not if there's no WFC2, then you got other questions to deal with. It's not just the 28 first team players or whatever. You have those guys who you brought in to see at WFC2. Are any of them going to be moved up or not? I know the season has been well.
I think some will be moved up as like say a number 4 striker or a number 5 winger or something like that. But I think they're only going to keep about 10 players from WFC2. I don't think they're going to be keeping like a full squad and loaded out or anything.
I'd be surprised, like 6 to 8. I mean, the WFC2, they've not the players there. There's not many of them that you're looking at them and you're thinking, yeah, they're MLS quality. I mean, I love the guys, love the team, but they're not MLS quality.
Like the veterans, like, for example, a Declan Wynn. I don't see a Declan Wynn coming back.
If they get rid of Jordan Harvey,
the possibility
and they get rid of Marcel de Jong, which
I don't
they
see
might
that
not.
happening. No.
If they keep de Jong and Levi's, then
he could be
Declan's
number 5.
not coming back.
No, he could be a number 5 fullback if they decide to go with 5 fullbacks.
Well, he can play both at a push, so he's got that as well. But yeah, I don't know. Last tweet for this section, Angus Walker. He says, "Don't we want to finish top with the most points possible? A win against New York would have taken us up to 3rd overall. Surely that gives us the most chance of hosting the MLS Cup final if we were to get that far." I genuinely wish we would finish 2nd because of what I said. I think we'll be better in a Western Conference final on the road in the second leg.
Yeah.
Regardless, even if they got whatever it was, 57 points now.
Yeah, but we would need the top 2 in the East to both be knocked out.
Or top 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I can't see happening.
It's difficult to see.
Barring an amazing run by Columbus or something like that. New York, something like that. Anyway, that is it for this section. We'll be back with more after this.
Hi, I'm Carl Robinson. You're listening to the AFTN podcast.
We talked to the top of the show about what a heartbreaker it's been this weekend. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers there. R.I.P. Tom Petty, one of the most talented musicians, spanning decades, string of good songs. Such a shock. It's like...
No, well, and the thing is, you were talking about earlier about people getting it right instead of getting it first. A lot of people were reporting he was already dead, even though he was still alive. And then, obviously, he succumbed to everything. I played this song, but I wanted to play the Traveling Wilburys song. I love the Handle with Care, but he didn't play too much into that song, so I thought give him the song.
That's a great song. Anyway, you're listening to AFTN Soccer Show on CIT Radio, broadcasting from the unceded Musqueam territory at the University of British Columbia. So last week we kicked off one of our new segments, Seasons, talking to some Whitecaps players and coaches about what their favourite seasons are. So Jordan Harvey kicked that off, and we've got the second of those segments tonight. Sat down with residency assistant under-16 coach Robert Earnshaw, goal-scoring legend in the UK, Wales international. I could talk to him for hours. So here's Robert Earnshaw talking about his favourite seasons.
What's your favourite season?
Looking back at your own career, 18, 19 years in the game, when you look back at that, what was your favourite season that you played as a pro?
Favourite season? Wow. I think there's a couple. There's a couple because I got a lot of goals, but different levels, different right throughout all the different levels, especially in England. So the one season that really jumps out for me is the I think it was 2002, 2003 season, 2001, maybe 2001, 2002, I think, at Cardiff City when I broke the record, 35 goals in a season, broke it on the last day, and I think that's the one that really jumps out because that was the most goals I scored, 35 in a season. I can't remember how many games, 50 games or something like that, but at the time it was a record that was there for so long, and everybody's looking at the record at Cardiff and saying, okay, it might not be beaten for a long time. So I set myself the challenge to try and beat the record of the most goals in one season at the club. So when I achieved that was amazing. That's the one that really jumps out. But also, I had great seasons. The Premier League season when I was at West Brom at 2004, 2005. The Great Escape season with West Brom. That was an unbelievable season because I said this the other day. Is sometimes in football there's different things happening with it. Sometimes it's people are vying for trophies. Sometimes people are vying for now Europe. Sometimes people are fighting for places in the table or whatever. For me, that season was about fighting for your life. Fighting for your life, but fighting to stay in the Premier League, in the top, And at the time, you're talking, you go into Man United, Ronaldo, Rio Ferdinand, Ryan Giggs, Paul Scholes, Rooney, Van Nistelrooy, all these people are playing for Man U. You go to Arsenal, I remember we played Arsenal that season, and that's one of the games that jumps out at me. And I looked at the lineup, and I'm looking at the Invincibles now, at Arsenal. And we're playing at Highbury, and I see who's playing up front for him. Bergkamp, Henry. Behind them is Freddie Ljungberg, Robert Pires, Vieira, Sol Campbell. So the Arsenal team, the Invincibles. So you look around and thinking, that's the level. You go to, Man City. They got top stars. People like Robbie Fowler, like legends of Premier League, now playing at different clubs. You went to Liverpool. I remember Liverpool. We were playing. Steven Gerrard's running the show. Torres was on fire. Got a hat-trick against us. Xabi Alonso is coming on a sub to replace Gerrard, and he does the exact same thing. You think, got a little breather. Gerrard's going off. Xabi Alonso comes on, and he does the exact same thing, and he's running the show. So I think that season was amazing for me because I felt like it was. And I think at times the Premier League has gone down, and levels and individuals and the type of players that have played in different seasons is not been as high. But that season, you looked around and thought, wow, like you're talking legendary players right throughout, Premier League legends. You go to Chelsea, Lampard, Drogba, Ian Robben, like all these people are playing, and you think, Hernan Crespo, like that time. Mourinho's in charge, but it was the first couple of seasons that he was in it, so he was the special one at the time, So when you're coming up against this and you're like, wow, this is every week, and it was every week, and you're thinking, this is great. That season was amazing because we stayed up. You know, I remember we go to Man United, the second from last game of the season, and we needed minimum a point. You know, and you look at the lineup, Ronaldo's playing, Scholes, Rooney, Giggs, like all these guys, Rio Ferdinand, all these guys, and you think we've got to try and get a point against these, you know, otherwise we're going down, you know. So you're really, really fighting for your life, you know, at that time. But great memories because we managed to do it. We managed to stay up. You stay in the Premier League. You played against some of the best players that's ever been in the Premier League. So I think those 2 seasons really stand out, you know.
How much do you miss being out there as a player? You have this record of scoring a hat-trick in all these different leagues. You never managed it in MLS. Do you wish you'd kind of hung on and just added MLS to that list of leagues?
Listen, I'd be lying if I said it. You know, I wanted to do that for sure. Yeah, I got close a couple of times and scored a couple of goals here and there. But you know what? Hat-tricks are very hard to come by. You know, let's not get hypnotized by Ronaldo and Messi right now. You know,
we haven't had a lot here over the years.
Yeah, because you know, hat tricks are hard to come by. You know, I've been lucky enough that I got hat tricks in all the different leagues in the UK. Everybody reminds me about the record of scoring at every level there. So it's amazing, but for me, it's. Goals are goals. Whether you score one goal, a couple of goals, it's very, very. It's still the hardest thing. Like I said, there's certain things that are the core of football that are always going to be there. One of them, the hardest thing to do in a football game, is score goals. It's always going to be the case because that's what everybody pays the money for. Everybody comes to watch. Everybody's trying to do, and they don't always succeed in any game in the world, across the world. So it's the hardest thing to do, and. Never did it in MLS, but I scored some goals in MLS, so I can be thankful for that because it's, you know, whether it's 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever, yeah, that feeling that you have is something else. It's very, very hard in life to replicate something like that in front of crowds, in front of different, you know, locations and countries and stuff. So, it would have been nice, but. I'm also thankful. You know, I've had a great career. You know, I really have, and lots of ups and downs, and not always on a high note and good. But that's football. That's football. It's highs and lows and different times and good and bad and all these different things. But you learn off it. You enjoy. Sometimes you don't enjoy certain things, but it's. I've had a great career. You know, I cannot complain. You know, I always say to my friends that you know, the level to get to a pro and you see some players, and I've played with players who played for 3 and 4 years and they're not playing in the game, but to play 18 and 19 years in the game, there's a certain discipline that it can. You know, how many people are trying to play football for that long and play pro? Again, very, very hard to do, and most people don't do it. I was lucky enough to do it, so it's you know, I'm very, very thankful of that.
So we get a lot of different weather, obviously, in Vancouver. It's beautiful at the moment, but like in general, when it's the year, like I like autumn. I'm a fall fan. So, what's your favourite season?
Favorite season for me, it's very easy. This summer, right in the middle of summer. The heat, I've always loved the heat. You know, I was born in Zambia in Africa, and moved to the UK when I was 9. So, my first 9 years, I was in heat. I was hot weather. You know, I come from a background of hot weather, so I love that. You know, I grew up in the UK, and there's a lot of rain, and you're the same. You know it. The rain, and actually it's very similar to here, but here probably it's a more consistent summer. But I love the summer because you know, especially playing football. I used to love the summer. You know, people around me, and it's pre-season or you know, you go into a hot location like for a game or something, and people are like, oh, it's gonna be hot, and I was like, yeah, that's no problem. We're playing football. The weather's nice. The grass is there. You know, let's go play football. I've always enjoyed that. You know, the toughest ones I've always had is, when you're like November, December, and it's freezing, like especially in the UK, and it's freezing, and you're out there, and all you're thinking about is, I have to feel my toes today, because there's 25,000 people that want me to play well, and I've got to make sure that I can feel my toes so I can feel the ball, like things like that. My fingers are dying and it's freezing, muscles are freezing, so like those things they're hard to play in, because mentally, physically, just like the coldness, it's hard. And you go into a stadium, and everybody says, "Oh, Stoke away on a Tuesday night." I've had those Stoke away on Tuesday night and played in those, and so it's experiences that you go through, and you think this is they're tough, for sure,
What's your favorite season?
Now I'm pretty sure that summer's my favorite season.
You've said every other season. Do you understand the season?
Yes, I like the leaves of golden brown.
No, that's autumn, you're a clown.
I like the flowers when in bloom.
No, that's spring, you thick baboon.
Thick baboon.
Robert Earnshaw there talking about his favourite season, and he's had such a great career. When he rattles off all those players that he's played against, that was like a dream time.
Yeah, who's who
in the English Premiership, and so many of them ended up coming over here as well, which is still kind of weird to think about. But we'll be bringing you some more of those later in the year. Anyway, just before we wrap this episode up, it's time for Wavelength, and it's a bit of a self-indulgent one for me, but it also applies to you, Zach, and you, Steve, and
this one's
yeah, just this one, none of the others. This is for Scottish supporters, Canadian supporters.
Oh, okay.
This is a song I think that just maybe captures the mood at this time of year. We're never going to win the World Cup. We know it. This song tells us that. It's by Eric.
Argentina do or die, only pitch to qualify. Tottenham flying high, Bucking, Jardine, Sam Forsyth and the Queen of Rio, Donna Kay, Masson and Big DJ. Big Joe, what a smile, Hartford hairstyle, Iran, Peru, Scotland haven't got a clue. Consolation be the Dutch, Willie taking dodgy drugs. What if feeling gambles go better than getting it home?
We'll never win the World Cup, only we can play the Bonnie Scotland way. We'll never win the World Cup, only we can snatch defeat from victory.
4 years back again, Tottenham in Spain, Jim Todd, Hamish Bear, Peely Wally, Ginger Hair, Strachan, McLeish, King, Kenny Dalglish, John Walk in the side, Hansen, Miller, Galline, Big Game v Brazil, many said we'd get nil, great shot, Big Dave, keeper goodness save, right foot, see it fly, Neri, what a guy, Topo, I rank, Jimmy Hill, you're talking shine.
We'll never win the World Cup, only we can play the Bonnie Scotland way. We'll never win the World Cup, only we can snatch defeat from victory.
Bremner, Malpass, Souness, Fuzzy Tash, Scott Booth, Billy Dodds, Frankie Boy, where's the birds? Craig Burley, Richard Goff, Ali getting carried off, Big Jock on such a terrible loss. Wembley, what a trip, commentators make us sick. Twin Towers weekend, Lineker's a bell end, your flags everywhere, Robbo scores, feed the bear, pass snaps, what a bitch, taking home the Wembley pitch.
We'll never win the World Cup, only we can play the Bonnie Scotland way. We'll never win the World Cup, only we can snatch defeat from victory.
Lambert, Dennis Law, Murdo in the free kick wall, Smith, Stuart McCall, Maradona punched the ball. Dave Speedy, Charlie Nick, Big Don, Pink Strip, no striker 4-6. Little kilts make you inch. Nice perm, Alan Ruff, Chris Boyd in the huff. Gary taking dodgy stuff, Sean Maloney looking buff. Andy Gray, Scott Brown, Tartan Army hit the tune. Jinky sailing at Troon, Davy Tommy gone too soon.
We'll never win the World Cup, only we can play the bonny Scotland way. We'll never win the World Cup, only we can snatch defeat from victory.
Marching Paris streets, Faddy schools, Fanny greets, Leighton Gordon clean sheets, Daly shouting fucking cheats, Gary Mack, Jordan Rhodes, Mojo scoring loads, Amy singing proud, whipping up the Hampden crowd, Andy, Craigie Brown, Bertie bringing Scotland down, Burley, Craig Levine, what have you done with the Scotland team? Tom Boyd, Davy Ware, what the hell is happening here? Have a dream another day, the World Cup is miles away.
We'll never win the World Cup, only we can play the bonny Scotland way. We'll never win the World Cup, only we can snatch defeat from victory.
Big Chris, watch a miss, Tartan Army on the piss, Hampden Road, what a score, greeting on the message board, crap weather, hat feather, coming down the road together, cheap beer, dodgy gear, we'll be singing Do a Dear, Calderwood, Henry, Johnny Way a penalty, Robbo, Paul McStay, we will qualify one day, Fletcher, Brian McClare, right as off, if you dare, flower of Scotland everywhere, the Scots are coming back for mayor. 'Cause we're gonna win the World Cup, that's because we play the bonny Scotland way. We're gonna win the World Cup, when our hopes are dying, we'll just keep on trying. We're gonna win the World Cup, calling us no hopers, but they'll never stop us. We're gonna win the World Cup, no more dodgy patches, no 2-second matches. We're gonna win the World Cup, that's because we play the bonny Scotland way. We're gonna win the World Cup, 'cause the fans demand it, I just can't stand it no more.
If you're still awake, that was Eric there with We'll Never Win the World Cup. Except we will, in Canada, well, America, in 2026.
Sure.
Put your money on that now.
You get good odds.
If they don't, I'm going to leave the country and move back to Scotland. That's my plan anyway, but I'll just kind of say that.
Wait, when you're not going to do that?
Yeah, no, I'm thinking I'm moving back after the World Cup.
What will Steve and I do?
Longest
2026.
But by that time, I think we'll probably have taken over Sportsnet Radio and TSN. The AFTN radio network will be in full flow in Vancouver. So you guys will be running one of the stations each. So.
And it's only an 8-hour difference, so right now it would be 7 o'clock. You wake up and you just join us.
Yeah, we can still do Mixler.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we still be doing an 11 p.m. show.
Yeah, we will, obviously. And we'll still be doing Wavelength, and I'll have lots of songs still on football hooliganism. Anyway, just before we do go, let everyone know where they can find you online.
You can find me on Twitter at WhitecapsBeat.
For me, it's at Zachary AM, and I'm part of the Movement Curva Collective.
I'm Michael McCall. You can find me on Twitter at AFTN Canada. Give us a follow on Instagram. I should probably get some photos out there. At AFTN Soccer. Read all our stuff away from the numbers, aftn.ca. We'll be back Sunday with more nonsense at 11 o'clock, talking about how the Whitecaps have clinched first in the West. You know what's going to happen. You knows it. Bye, everyone.
One day I shall come back. Yes, I shall come back. Until then, there must be no regrets, no tears, no anxieties. Just go forward in all your beliefs and prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine.